So, Alex Jones has been purged from the internet, as they're calling it, the Great Purge. You've no doubt heard that InfoWars has been removed from YouTube, Facebook, I'm guessing Google+, Spotify, Apple iTunes Store, or Apple Music. What else? I'm sure a dozen others. Instagram, maybe. I have no idea. But a bunch of new media platforms have decided that, all within the span of 12 hours, mind you, that Alex Jones' InfoWars violates their terms of service in how he conducts his business, the types of things he says on their platforms, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't look at all suspicious when they all do it within the span of 12 hours. And they do it, by the way, without any real backlash from anyone, apart from his hardcore fans. There's a lot of things going on the internet, you know. First they came for Alex Jones, you know, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't an info warrior. Then they came for me, you know, that's the whole idea, right? And then I saw something interesting online saying, no, it's not first they came for Alex Jones. First they came for the Daily Stormer. Then they came for Richard Spencer. And now they've come for Alex Jones because he didn't speak up. And people still aren't speaking up over Alex Jones because, you know, he's a conspiracy theorist, or InfoWars is considered a conspiracy theory website. He's a bit of a whack job, but I mean, if you watch his stuff, you take away from it that a lot of it is an act, right? It's a lot of it is just pageantry. And I'm inclined to think that that's the case, but it doesn't matter. He still looks ridiculous, so deplatforming a ridiculous person doesn't really bother people so much, especially when some of the stuff he says, you know, are deemed offensive by mainstream thought. It's interesting that it all happened within 12 hours, that all these media companies decided to do it within 12 hours. It's almost like they're asking for a lawsuit. Now, Alex Jones has apparently made a statement I haven't watched yet. There's about a 13-minute video online that you can watch regarding his banning. and it's interesting to see that the left, who have no problem, you know, empowering the state to force a creative professional like a bakery or what have you to bake a cake for a gay wedding, they're all of a sudden libertarians and saying, hey, you know what, they're a private company, they can do what they want, they can deplatform anybody they wish because they're a private company and they have the right to do that as a private company. It's not the government barring his ability to speak, it's these private companies. Now, Black Pigeon Speaks does a good take on this. He says, look, they're anything but private companies. They are funded and were helped, given their status, by taxpayer dollars. Both state and federal taxes helped empower these companies to become what they are. They wouldn't exist without taxpayer, you know, taxpayer help, government help in the form of tax cuts and what do you call it? Subsidies, right? But not only that, I mean, now maybe the status of the internet has changed, but the internet was created as a public utility, if I understand correctly, that it was developed as a system to come into effect should standard communication lines be jeopardized because of an attack or because of a breakdown in infrastructure. The internet was there as an emergency communication system. And of course it evolved into something more. But I guess the point is that it's not really just a private company. They're not just a publisher. And that was something that BPS made mention of. They're either a platform or they're a publisher, but they can't be both. Now, if you argue that they're a publisher, then they can decide what's going to be published on their forum. right? If they're a platform for people to engage in speech, well, then they can't discriminate. They're violating someone's First Amendment rights to do so, especially since, Facebook is the de facto network by which people engage in social media. There's no other Facebook out there. There's no other system like Facebook, with the exception of maybe Google Plus, right? That has any real sort of reach. So when Facebook says we're not going to allow this person to speak on our platform, and that person has no other alternative, they're not only denying Alex Jones and InfoWars their right to express themselves on a platform that they've been doing so for years, but they're denying everyone else the right to hear it. And that's the big thing about the First Amendment that people don't seem to get. They think it's just the right to speak. It's not only the right to speak, it's the right for people to hear you speak. The reason we enshrine it is because the ability for people to freely express ideas is of paramount importance in a democracy, in a civilized society of any nature, right? Anyway. But like I said, I think Alex Jones has got a lawsuit that he could easily win in this case, mainly because the tech companies were so blatant in their political motivation by doing it all within 12 hours. It's not as though they just randomly decided, hey, you know what, turns out he's violating our terms of service, and we're only just now discovering this. All of us, within the span of 12 hours. That's not what happened. It was a coordinated attack on his ability to express himself, which is timely, given that the midterm elections are coming up in a few short months, and Alex Jones and InfoWars were kind of integral in getting Donald Trump elected in 2016. So the mainstream media and the establishment government and the deep state, they completely understand that he has more influence than they're comfortable with. And they want to try and hamstring that influence if they can. So back to the lawsuit idea. Yeah, so basically, I saw on 4chan the other day, and which further goes to prove my point that 4chan just isn't all trolls and shitlords. Occasionally, there's a relevant conversation going on the pages of Poll or some of the other pages, but this one was kind of interesting. Someone posted a basic breakdown of a landmark case of Marsh versus Alabama that was decided in 1946. And the backstory is basically this. This woman by the name of Marsh was barred from distributing Jehovah's Witness leaflets in the town of Chickasaw County in Alabama. Now, Chickasaw County was a privately owned town. It was run by a company, basically. So it was the roads, even though they were used for public use, were technically private. And so they said, look, we have a bylaw here that we can pass because we're a privately owned company, that we're not going to allow, religious solicitation here. We're not going to allow people espousing Jehovah's Witness or what have you. Now, it might not have been the fact that she was Jehovah's Witness. That's really irrelevant. It doesn't matter. The point is, they said, we don't want you walking the streets of our town handing out leaflets to the citizens here, so we're barring you from doing that. She was fined. Went all the way to the Alabama Supreme Court, and the Alabama Supreme Court decided in favor of Marsh, basically stating that, look, yes, it's a privately owned town, but you have complete control over the public use access ways in that town. So all the public streets are allowed, you allow use for anybody, anywhere, to go up and down those streets. You can't all of a sudden say that they're private because there's somebody using those streets to express opinions that you find disfavorable, whether they're religious or otherwise. So if you look at sites like Facebook and YouTube and Google Plus and whatever as not platforms and not publishing outfits, but actual virtual spaces, and access to their network and access to their citizens, which would be Facebook users, is being restricted by what essentially is an oligopoly of these tech tech companies, these media companies, these social media companies. If you take that position that, look, you essentially with your websites have these little privately owned towns where citizens can interact on all manner of things in any way they want, and you have basically arbitrarily said that Alex Jones is no longer welcome in your little virtual town, despite the fact that he'd been there for years and gone there for years and engaged with people who are interested in what he wanted to say and present, and now all of a sudden you said no, can't do it. And not only did Facebook do it, not only did Facebook kick him out of his virtual town, but YouTube kicked him out of their virtual town. And so did Google Plus, so did Spotify and iTunes and all these other electronic media sites, which essentially constitute little virtual towns, little internet towns. So, like I said, I think Jones has got a case, and I hope he follows up, and I hope he sues. I'm going to watch his video at some point today and see what he has to say. My guess is that he's planning to fight back. He's planning to sue them, and I hope he does, and I hope he wins, because you know, if they can block Alex Jones, who has millions and millions of followers, and millions of subscribers to his, you know, his podcasts and whatnot, then you know, they can stop anybody. Well, who's next? Breitbart, right? Fox News, I guess, conceivably. Although I think they're a little too well connected. But anyway, that's my thought on the matter. Let me know what you think. If you have any more understanding or knowledge of that Marsh versus Alabama case, and have anything to chime in on it, please do in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and hit the bell and all that stuff, and talk to you soon.